So for step 7, attaching the rear damper stay, you're going to see we're going to need to grab these two parts off of parts tree K, and then this one's off of parts tree B, which I have over here. There they are. There's the two drive joints, and then there's the one of the axles, which we're actually just going to be using as a tool in this step to get the O-rings into those joints. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to attach this stay to the chassis before we do, or I should say attach it to the gearbox before we do anything else. And then we'll attach everything else and grease up all the spots that we need to, because you can see that those two screws right there, they don't want you to over tighten them either. But I think we'll first get that stay onto the gearbox and then move on from there. So if we grab our finished gearbox, you can see that the way this is going to fit on is that the two top holes, which are on the gearbox there, this is going to sit over top of that, and we're going to fit the two screws, the two tapping screws, into the top of that. So that's going to be the first step that we're going to do. So I'll grab our MA5 screws and start screwing them in. And again, I'm not going to do anything permanent until both are in and I feel that the fit seems solid and that there's nothing binding or moving around. Just gradually do both sides. There we go. So that is now attached to the gearbox. So for the next bit, we're going to grab one of our screws, our step screw. We're going to grease it up, as they say, because there's a bit of movement on this. So that'll be greased up. And we're going to stick this screw into that bottom hole, just like that. And then that's going to go onto the other side with a washer. Grab this washer here, put that on. And then you're going to grab one of the K parts, and you can see the way this is shaped is that you've got these ridges and then the flat, just like the diagram shows. Ridges, then the flat. And basically it's short here, longer arm on the other side. So that is going to fit there, and we're going to just screw it in. And I'm just checking to make sure that it seems to, and it is correct. You can see how that's going to fit into there. So we'll just continue screwing that in. And it says don't over tighten because we need this arm to move. So that's in as far as I want it to be. It's right to the end of where that step screw, the flat area, smooth area is. But that provides a little bit of play. I may tighten this up a little bit once I've got the other one on, or we might just do it later after everything is attached just to see how it's going to fit. But I'll just do the other side, and then both will be on, and we'll move on to the next part. Okay, so those are both on, and I haven't over tightened. There's a little bit of play. You can sort of see a little bit of movement with the screw on either side if you sort of pull up and out just a little bit, but they're running nice and smooth, so they're fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to move on to putting the little O-rings into the joints. So I'll just grease this up a bit, as they want you to do. Then you're going to stick that into a joint, just like that, and then use the drive shaft to push it down. So you can see that it is now inside there and flat. So same thing again with the other one. We'll grease this up. I could maybe do it the non-messy way, but I'm not too bothered. And we'll stick that in there. And we'll use the drive shaft again to push it down to the bottom. And there you have it. So it is in there and nice and flat. So they just provide a little bit of softening of, like, so that the drive shaft's not over, moving up and or inside there. So you can see that when it's in, there's a little bit of softness to it. It's not metal on metal completely. And it also will keep the drive shaft in place a bit more so that there's not too much play either side. So that's done. So then we're going to grease up these parts and put them into the gearbox. So if we grab the long one, you can see that they want you to grease up the whole thing. So we'll do that. We'll grease up the little gear there. Grease up the whole shaft. Because that's going to go right into the gearbox we just put together. And grab this, lift that up, and put it right inside. So that's how that's going to look. So we've got one joint in there, and we're going to do the same thing with the other side. Grease it all up. And take the other side, and you can see that rod from the other joint is right there. We're going to put that over top of it, and now we've got both cups in place. So that means that step 7 is complete. So now we're going to be moving on to step 8, which is the rear arms.